Kamusta mga kababayan? So you're planning to move here to Canada or you're on your way to Canada. Here are top 10
A few moments later.
Here are top 10 things you ought to know before moving to Canada in no particular order. Number 1, really hot summers. So Canada is known to be a very cold country, Winnipeg being one of the coldest parts of Canada. But what a lot of immigrants don't really know before they move here is that Canada has really hot summers. There are even some days where the temperature hits plus 40, and it's a different kind of heat, not like Manila or Philippines heat. It's hot. Number 2, limited transportation for commute compared to the Philippines. So if you're used to jeepney, tricycle, vans, MRTs, taxis, you will not have that many options here in Canada, especially outside the big cities. In places like Winnipeg, where it gets really, really cold, a car is almost a necessity. So that's something you need to think about. Speaking of cars, number 3, the roads are always under construction, especially in Winnipeg. So if you're moving to Winnipeg, just get used to a lot of construction. The traffic is not going to be as bad as in Manila, but it's still annoying. But if you find yourself, stuck in traffic, just put yourself back in the Manila, Philippines mindset and just say, it's not that bad. Number 4, Canadians are more secular compared to Filipinos. When I moved to Canada, I was always under the impression that Canadians or Canada was a Christian nation, especially coming from the Philippines where everyone is either like Catholic, Protestant, or they're religiously affiliated. When I still live in the Philippines, I didn't know anyone who was atheist or agnostic. And it's not like religion is frowned upon here in Canada or anything. It's just, it's just not on people's minds. Christianity is not part of the national identity. Unlike the Philippines, where the Catholic faith is ingrained in the Filipino identity. And speaking of identity, number 5, individual freedoms is a big deal here in Canada. What do I mean? So us Filipinos, we value community and family. Our Christmas parties or our get-togethers are like wild. There's so many people that you don't even knew were part of your family. Your third cousins and fourth cousins coming to the baptism. It's not the same here in Canada. It's not the same for Canadians. There's a stronger emphasis in individual freedom. Most Canadians would love to move out when they're 18, 19, when they're out of high school. As a Filipino, I couldn't even imagine moving out at 18. I thought I would move out when I'm married with kids. That's just like the Filipino mindset. Even then, you might still live with your parents, but not Canadians. They do value individual personal freedom. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just different from our bayanihan attitude. Number 6, this is tough, poverty. Now this might surprise you. There's actually quite a noticeable amount of people in poverty. I know it's a surprise because you think Canada, it's a first world country. People go to Canada to leave poverty. While Canada is still a developed country with lots of opportunities, homelessness and poverty still exist. Mental health plays a lot of factor in it. Drug use plays a factor in it. Here in Winnipeg, it's quite obvious in the downtowns, in some of the parks, and it's truly heartbreaking. On a lighter note, number 7, Canadians make the most out of summer. Love summer. We do everything during summer. I'm talking camping, barbecues, festivals. Winter is so harsh here in Canada, so when it's finally hot outside, we go all out. We party, we have fun outside. We don't take summer for granted here. And I know back home in the Philippines, it's always sunny or rainy. So we might not take the sunny days for granted in the Philippines because we're used to it, but here in Canada, if it's, above 10 Celsius, it's a good time. Number 8, buying a house is expensive. Let's put a downer again in this video. Buying a house here in Canada is crazy expensive, especially in Toronto and Vancouver. Yes, there's a lot of opportunities here in Canada. Yes, there's lots of jobs that you can get here in Canada. But the housing is a problem. I've been very blessed to purchase a house, but it's tough. It's tough buying a house. It's tough maintaining a house. I'm not a politician. I'm not like a political science. I'm not an economist. I don't know what needs to change, but if you're moving here to Canada and you want to buy a house, that's something you really, really need to think about. Number 9, Canada is super multicultural. One thing that I really love about Canada is how multicultural it is. I moved here 16 years ago and I was actually quite surprised by the number of other cultures living here in Canada. You'll meet people from all over the world, Europe, Africa, different parts of Asia, and it's a great time because we learn more about other people's culture, tradition, food, and personally, I enjoy bringing in people from different cultures to our Filipino culture. I love watching people try our food, do our dances. This is why this channel exists in the first place. Number 10, learning French will open lots of doors for you. So French is like the second language here in Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Learning French here can really boost opportunities for you. It'll open up doors if you want to do government work, especially if you're living in Quebec. Actually, I think it's mandatory almost to speak French in Quebec. Even learning basic French can open a lot of doors for you. So that's something you should consider. And there you have it. That's 10 things you ought to know before moving here in Canada. If you're new here to Canada, or if you're on your way to Canada, or if you're planning to come to Canada, put in the comments below where you are, where you're from, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Film Flipside, and don't forget to hit that little ding 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 bell notification. Yep, that's it. I never know how to end videos like this. I don't have a catchy way to end a video. I really ought to think of one.